we don't. That's important. Nick, what are we doing here?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name's Nick. I'm one of the co-hosts of a podcast called How Cool Is This?, where in every episode we take a new idea, whether that's a new product, a new piece of software, a new way of thinking, and we talk about whether or not it's cool in 5 minutes or less. But as part of the way those episodes work, people come on, they share their ideas. Brian and I talk about it. But those people that share their ideas don't really get a chance to respond. So tonight, what we're doing here in Room Key, in a place where kind of interaction and collaboration, we're allowing guests of past episodes to come on stage and respond to what we said about them. So this is How Cool Is This? Rebuttals.
Yeah, and something that we do differently than other podcasts is that we people send in their ideas and we talk after. So it's not like dialogue. It's very much just people are trusting that we are going to be nice about their ideas, and we are usually, unless, we had a guy from QAnonFAQ.com who we said his idea was not very cool. But regardless, this is a chance for people to, come back and tell us that we aren't cool, or tell us that, what we said was wrong, or, provide clarifications, updates. But for now, this platform is a little different, a little new for people who haven't used it before. There's a few different things. So one is, if you use headphones, then you can talk to people. If not, then stay muted. It's still a new platform, so they're working out some bugs. The second thing is, if you click the screen, you can zoom in and you can see what is happening on the screen a little better. The third is, if you click seats around the room, you can move around. And then kind of the final thing is, people at your table can hear you, but no one at other tables can hear you. You can hear everyone on stage, and then everybody sees the chat. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and we can get them answered. If you want to participate, hit the emojis, hit some questions in the chat. We'll be good to go. But yeah, without further ado, Nick, where'd you go? We lost Nick. We have a blue guy here. That's our brand account.
I am back. Sorry, I just got booted from the stage. But I'm here. And hopefully we are ready to go. Sorry about that, everyone. Getting the screen share figured out. Moving a little slow. There we go. Brian, I'm assuming we already went over all of these rules when I was indisposed out of Room Key.
Yeah, we did.
Great.
So our first guest that we have here on stage already is Ian Pauley, which just for everyone's, vantage point, we're going to play his idea, a little clip of it. We're going to play a little clip of what we said, and then Ian's going to have about 7 to 10 minutes with us to talk about whether, what he thought about what we said, about any updates, really whatever he wants. This is his time to shine, and then us to, be here as well. We like to be on the stage. It makes us feel cool and important. And everybody is welcome to participate in the chat. So you want to get started, Nick?
Yes. Yeah. If everybody on stage could mute themselves too when I play this.
My idea is to fill your empty car trunk or your truck bed with soil and plant vegetables or flowers. You could even plant trees.
It does combine two words in a way that is interesting.
Sometimes combining two words is cool. A lot of times it's not.
When is it not?
Cardons.
Yeah, that's fair.
Regardless, it does sound like a pretty cool idea.
All right, so that was a quick taste of Cardons and our idea. Ian, any updates, any response to the episode, to what we said in the episode?
I don't have too many updates. I mean, I was bummed to hear that you guys didn't love the naming. I thought I was pretty clever, but then I got to thinking more about it, and I think we should look to expand this idea to more than just cars and trucks, and maybe think about like bikes, or if you have like a basket on your bike, or maybe even like scooters. If we could have like scooters come out with baskets or something, putting plants in those. And I was trying to think of a name for that, and I couldn't. So I think maybe your guys' idea of trunk plants is good. And then as this idea expands, it's just, bike plants or motorcycle plants and so on. So I think, while I was disappointed about, Cardin's kind of getting the thumbs down, I think it's for the best.
And I'm a big fan of puns. I know that Nick was less excited about Cardin's than I was. I think we both agreed that it just sounds strange, but the idea itself was extremely cool, because anytime that you can involve plants, or anytime you can involve a sustainable idea that makes the earth a better and safer place is cool. And I like this idea for the bikes.
That is a good addition to the idea. And, I can be a harsh critic of puns. That is a failing of mine. I'm not a very fun guy, even though I might be cool. But, part of the reason we bring people up here for these rebuttals is to explore how we can make cool ideas even cooler. So I think it's good that, even though you were disappointed with our response to your name, Ian, it challenged you to kind of improve upon the idea.
I agree. I to be honest, I don't like puns so much either. I don't know what it was. This one just felt right. But I think trunk plants and bike plants, scooter plants, I think that's the way to go here.
I want to push back on that, because you've also been on the show with a different idea, which is a business you run. Cardin's was kind of a theoretical idea. The business you run is real, and that business is called Polly's Pockets, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a pun as well.
No. I think that's just a completely original name that I came up with. It's just alliteration. It's a completely original idea, and definitely doesn't reference any other existing products on the market.
I mean, Ian, I do think you can feel free to speak freely here in Roomkey, as I don't think we invited any copyright lawyers to the show tonight.
Okay, yeah, I ripped that off from Polly's Pockets. But I don't know. I don't like puns, but it just felt so right. So I think maybe I like puns more than I realized.
I think sometimes something we encounter on the podcast is that we get a really cool idea, but it doesn't have the coolest name. And it's hard to evaluate sometimes, because I think for an idea to catch on and for it to become, reach its coolest potential, it has to have that catchy name that people remember and is easy to say. So it's hard when we have a great idea like Cardin's that just doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, I agree. No, you really do need to have that ringle jingle, that pizzazz.
Which Polly's Pockets does have.
Yeah, I love the name Polly's Pockets. I think, it's like pockets with pizzazz. I think maybe I'm a big fan of alliteration. Maybe that's part of what it is. But
something else that you mentioned in this idea was Meyer lemon trees, and that they were your favorite plant, your favorite tree. Why did you, or how did that happen? What is it about these trees that you like?
I like the idea of growing produce, and I personally love fruit. I'm a huge fruit guy, love it, and I think just lemons. I don't know, they're yellow, they're kind of small. I was looking at a Meyer lemon at the time, and I just think they're solid trees. You can use lemons for all sorts of stuff. They're very useful. So I think I like the utilitarianism of the Meyer lemon.
They're a really appealing fruit. They look nice, they smell nice, and I agree. It's nice that they can do all sorts of things. Ian, I had a question for you that we didn't get to ask on the show. Have you put this idea into practice? I'm not sure if you're a car owner, but have you tried to plant some plants in the trunk?
I wish I could speak truthfully and say yes, but I would never do that to my car personally. It would be incredibly messy. And I'm a little bit of a neat freak, so it's not really an idea that I would put into practice myself. But I expect other people to do it, regardless of how messy it'll make their cars.
So you expect other people to do it. It's not that you're putting it out there for them to consider. You expect people to do it.
Yeah, if people don't do it, I'll be, my feelings will be hurt.
Right. Some people need to make sacrifices to protect the environment, but you're not one of those people.
Yeah, exactly. The rules don't apply to me.
I mean, as the originator of this idea, I guess that you do have some flexibility in terms of adhering to the rules. I guess that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that cool, but it's fair. Brian, I know you mentioned earlier how it would be a really cool idea because it, would be good for the environment, which is so important right now. But I think there was some hesitation about my credibility when I referenced that I had, crunched the numbers. And I kind of wanted to respond to that and say I don't have necessarily the title, but I do have lots of calculators, and I crunch the numbers again, and I continue to crunch the numbers. I keep crunching numbers, and the numbers are bona fide.
That sounds.
I mean, I have to believe that. Yeah.
Must be really big numbers to require that many calculators because I've used a calculator before and I was able to get some large numbers in that thing.
Yeah, it is a lot of calculators.
Ian, Kyle in the chat asked, how many calculators specifically do you have?
Well, I've got one for different occasions. I'd say probably 7 calculators. I also have the one that's the watch. Calculator watch.
I like the calculator watch. That is a classic cool idea. Doesn't get much cooler than the ability to crunch numbers while looking at numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the functionality. What's the point of a watch if it only tells you time? I want to be able to crunch numbers, open apps, make phone calls, crunch more numbers. So I wish I could claim that as my own original idea, but yeah, it's not.
Well, thank you, Ian, for providing a rebuttal to Cardin's. And we do appreciate your original idea. Actually, the next person did not have an original idea. So that will be a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you, Ian, for coming up here.
I don't know if that was the most graceful way to ask someone off the stage. But
he just straight up left the whole room. I don't think he even went to another table.
Well, I think we probably didn't tell him. We didn't tell him that he could sit somewhere else. He could have just pressed leave. That's what is intuitive. So,
he
had. I think one of our other speakers did not make it tonight. So, Kyle, it looks like you're here. Are you ready, or were you? I know you potentially wanted to have another person join you, but looks like you're ready. So if you want to just click a chair here and the other person joins, then they are welcome to come in after.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining, Kyle, and welcome back,
Kyle,
Ian.
welcome.
It does appear that Ian. Oh, it looks like the other person actually did make it tonight. Donnie's in.
Great.
All right.
Brian, do you want to run with Kyle since he's on stage, and then we can flip back to Donnie?
I think that works. Donnie, you're good with that? Yeah. Okay.
I'm flexible.
So
if you guys, whatever works.
All right. Yeah, great. Sounds good. Soft thumbs up over there. And it looks like Ian's back in as well.
Great. So, Kyle, we're going to play a short clip of your idea and then our response to it.
Okay.
Just make sure to press mute real fast.
It's a service where you hire a Karen to basically handle a dispute or some sort of confrontation on your behalf. Maybe you're not necessarily a confrontational person. You can use the hire a Karen service who will fight your battles for you.
What if someone hired a Karen to submit an idea?
I think I would have to tell the Karen that the idea is cool for fear of retribution.
Right, and that's unfortunate because you know the Karen will fight back.
Although we don't really give people the opportunity to fight back. So maybe we'd be fine.
That's one of the best things about this podcast.
All right. Kyle, I think we're eating our own words. We said in this episode that we would not let people respond to our responses to their ideas. And now we're doing it. So I think I can't tell if it was a cool idea or not, but you're here on stage and you can respond.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe you guys actually invited me back to talk about an idea that I stole from somebody. Well, stole is a strong word. I borrowed from somebody who, in my defense, okay, I guess background is my brother-in-law actually came up with the idea for the hire a Karen. And I gave him an opportunity to be here to be on stage with me and share some of the limelight, but he was MIA today, so I am just going to continue to take credit for his idea.
And they say the best artists steal. So I think that is a glowing review of you.
That's true. I got to be in pretty good company then, I guess. So.
Kyle, do you have any updates to your hire a Karen idea? I think we thought overall it was cool and could serve a lot of pretty useful purposes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there have not been a whole lot of updates in terms of making this a reality. But I think the biggest one, or the first step that would make the most sense is trying to gauge interests, not necessarily for people to use the service, but are there people who self-identify as Karens that would be willing to offer or be a part of this service plan? That seems to be the logical first step. And I think if we could get a team of a solid team of Karens, then I think the rest would fall in place pretty quickly, actually.
Now, you just said self-identify as Karen. Can anybody be a Karen?
This is true. Well,
and how cool is it for three guys and then one blue guy on stage to talk about Karens without any female? These
are excellent questions, Brian. And yes, the blue guy off to the side there, he creeps me out a little. But anyway, I think, it's cool to be able to self-identify as whatever you self-identify as, right? And, I feel like a Karen is more or less a gender-neutral term in a lot of ways because, there's plenty of guys that can be Karens, I think, in certain situations. So I think it's cool. But that's also the opinion of a guy, so maybe it's not, and I'm out of touch.
Well, I think it's, it's not wrong to identify as a person who fights for what you believe in, which I think you could say on a base level, that's what a Karen is doing. Whether or not those things they believe in are quote unquote the right things to believe in is a good question. But if you can get these people who are kind of the unrelenting bulldogs of society on your side to fight those righteous battles, I think that's a cool thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. And, I certainly would consider myself to be a non-confrontational person, which is why I think I liked my brother-in-law's idea so much. And I know I certainly benefit from, now I'm not calling, I need to add a disclaimer. I'm not calling my wife a Karen. She's absolutely not a Karen. But I think that she can tap into a sort of Karen energy when it's needed. And I absolutely rely on her to fight certain battles with companies that I'm just not willing to fight. And it works out really well.
Yeah, I think something that we liked about this idea was we saw it as a win-win-win where, the person who finds grievances and gets called Karen by collective society has a lot of frustrations and often valid. And this gives an outlet for those frustrations while also being possibly a money-making opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that really makes it a solid idea. And I just want to throw this out there.
Multiple people benefit. Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No,
I was just going to say that if anyone here identifies as a Karen, I think we should absolutely invite them up on the stage to hear their perspective. But anyway, yeah. What were you going to say, Nick?
I support that for sure. This is an interactive platform, and we'd love to have people on stage share their opinions. I just wanted to turn to the chat real quick to involve a few of those people. I think there is some consensus that male Karens are called kins, which I think is probably true. And also my girlfriend, Dana, said that I am also a non-confrontational person that needs help fighting battles, which is very true. And while I would never call Dana a Karen, she is very effective at fighting battles, more effective than me.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to join, we have about 2 minutes left before the next or now it's 1 minute left before the next rebuttal.
So I guess here's a question for you guys. Would you use the hire a Karen service if it was something that was fully fleshed out? Would you guys take advantage of it in certain situations?
Yeah, I think I would. Like I mentioned, there are just a lot of times when I don't feel like causing trouble or really even standing up for myself. So, if I could just pay someone, throw some money at the problem, I would most definitely do that. I do that for a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, something we've talked about is that there are situations
would you use this service?
I think I would. There are situations where it's like not worth the time to express why somebody frustrated you or why something that they did wasn't fair. And I think this would be a way to ultimately make a cooler world that allowed everyone to understand where, what might be fair or what might be cool. Well, thank you, Kyle, for coming back on stage.
Yeah, really appreciate it for providing an update and, really getting into the Karen discourse.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me. And I also have to say, speaking of the hiring of a Karen, I mean, if you guys have the ear of the room key developers, I just want to say that as someone who is slightly overweight and has thinning hair, I feel underrepresented by the avatar choices in room key. So maybe we should add a thinning hair option, right?
Well, I think
Kyle, I feel you. That's just why I went full bald.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of curious if you were full bald.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now I know.
This is representative of me, but, what we love about room key is that you can be whoever you want to be in this virtual world. But I think we will put in that request, Kyle. It's a good one.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So I guess, Donnie, if you are able to hear, you can move around the room by clicking different chairs. So if you click a chair on stage, then you can come up and rebut. It's possible that you are not there. Oh, you're there. Okay.
All right. Am I on stage?
Yes. I think there's like a weird chair.
You are.
There we go.
God, I selected that weird chair. I don't know why. All right. I'm trying to find the stage. Oh, where am I?
You're up here.
You're
Oh,
up here.
Oh, who's the ball guy?
Bald guy's Nick.
That's
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Nick.
Hey Donnie. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Where am I?
All right. So before we get into it, what's that, Donnie?
Where am I sitting? I can't see myself.
What kind of device are you on right now?
I'm on an Android. Where do you see me?
You're
we
on
see
the
you
stage.
stage.
Oh.
Yeah. If you just kind of hold the screen and move it around, kind of drag it around, you can get a different perspective. That might help.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I see. Who's with the blue hair? That's who is that? With the jacket.
That's the How Cool Is This brand incarnate.
Oh, okay, and that's Brian with the orange shirt.
Yes.
Where am I sitting as it relates to you guys? Because I don't see me.
Oh, you're right in the middle of us.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see myself, but that's okay.
Intimate.
You're
good.
here.
We
can hear you.
Table of 4 there. Hello.
Yeah, I think everybody can hear you,
Oh,
Donnie.
yeah, hey.
Yep, we're getting some response from the crowd. All right.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Donnie, before we get
Sorry,
into it, we're going to
I'm a
play
little
a
excited because I've never done this before.
All good. It's a fun platform. We're going to play a quick clip of the idea that you submitted to the show, and then our response. Oh, did we lose him? Oh, he's down at that table now.
Well, we can play it, and then Don, if you want to click back up to the stage when.
Yep.
We also did an illegal open mic for Pro Comics. Half the comedy community loved it, half hated it and thought it was irresponsible, but we tried it once. We realized that wasn't the smartest idea, so we stopped that.
When you make comedy illegal, when you do things like have the cops show up at your show, that starts to make comedy a little bit more cool.
I don't think there's really much cooler in the comedy world than having your show shut down by the police.
That was a first. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my bearings here. Okay, I'm with you.
All
Sorry.
good. No worries.
Read the room. Okay.
Well, Donnie, thanks for being up here. I think your idea that we had on the show was definitely one of the cooler and maybe more controversial ideas that we've had. But can you give us an update on how your pursuit of trying to put on comedy shows during the pandemic is going?
Yeah, I mean, what is it now? April 27th. We're allowed 33% capacity right now. And you know, I mean, before COVID, we were open 7 days a week. You know, now we're just doing shows Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Like we find the demand is just not there yet to be open every night. You know, obviously tourists are not in town, and you know, a lot of people, especially in the neighborhood where we are, Upper West Side, don't feel comfortable yet going into a venue. But you know, over time that'll change and tourists will come back. But yeah, April 2nd is when we were allowed to reopen. We sued Governor Cuomo about 4 to 6 weeks before that because, you know, we we saw that every industry around us was opening, including restaurants and movie theaters and bowling alleys and pool halls, and he was ignoring venues, comedy clubs, music venues. So we sued him, and we made a lot of noise, did a lot of media, and 2 days later he announced that venues could reopen. So we're happy about that, and even before that, we made it our mission just to try to keep comedy going as much as possible in the city during COVID. We produced over 500 outdoor shows in parks. We did comedy shows on the 1 train every Saturday night. We did a show in a church. We did shows on rooftops. So we try to, keep shows going, and it was a crazy ride. And some things, now that the venue's open, some things we stopped, like the subway shows, but some things we're going to continue even after this whole thing is over, like Stand Up New York in the Park. That's just, it's a different type of experience, which we'll do, every year, weather permitting.
So I know this is a rebuttals event, and that's all great. I've seen everything you're doing, and I appreciate it. I was out in the Upper West Side for a couple months there, so I definitely saw firsthand a lot of the things that were going on. Since this is a rebuttals event, was there anything from the episode that you wanted to specifically respond to, or did you have any thoughts? And feel free to be as honest as possible.
Like, what do you mean? Did I get any pushback, you're saying, for what we were doing?
Oh, no, from what we said about the idea. Was there anything that you had thought about the episode and you wanted to respond to?
I guess, I guess, people should be able to choose whether they feel, going to a show is safe or not. I believe people should be, people should, sorry, my wife came down in like a gown for some reason. I don't know why.
We're doing a video for the school dinner.
Oh, but I gotta finish this. We're doing a video for our kids' school dinner. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I mean, what we did, yeah, it was illegal. But there was obviously a market for it and demand, and if people didn't feel comfortable going to our show, they can choose not to go. Whether it's in the venue, we did an indoor mic pretty early on in the pandemic. We had 15 comics come, and they feel comfortable, and it's their choice. And there were a lot of people against that. The shows in the parks. Most people were for that, because it was outdoors, but there was a lot of people that still didn't think it was safe, which is crazy. Just today, the CDC announced that, outdoor gatherings are safe. So, it was also safe last summer. Just like we did shows on the train, people really wanted to see entertainment, and we gave them that. And if people didn't feel comfortable going to these shows, they can choose to stay home. No hard feelings. Does that answer the rebuttal?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I remember saying something to the tune of we thought that the government was doing a good job, and I think maybe with hindsight they were a little overstepping more so than we thought at the time, and I think that you had identified that a little better. So I thought that you would. I was expecting you to come out and be like, "I told you so," not in those words. I think you're probably more professional than that, but that's it. I was trying to set you up for that almost.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't blame, the government, I don't blame the government for, being, overly careful and concerned. No, we've never gone through this before. And I actually do trust what the government tells us. I'm not I'm not a anti-masker, and, or an anti-vaxxer. And I do trust, what the government says. But, in my specific case, I believe that you could, produce shows in a safe way, and which I believe we did. And again, people get to choose whether they want to go. I would, looking back, actually, regarding the indoor mic, that was, we did it once. I think it was a bad decision what we did. But again, that's why we didn't continue it. We did it once and that's it.
Donnie, why do you feel like comedy is an important thing to provide, to bring to people, no matter what the circumstance? You went through to great lengths to kind of help people laugh during a time that laughter was hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, obviously laughter is good for many reasons. There's mental health benefits, not only for people watching comedy, but also for the comics. A lot of comics that I've spoken to told me, performing is the only thing they know how to do. And they go crazy when they don't get to perform. So just from that perspective, if performing makes comics feel healthy, then let them do it. There could be more harm caused when you're not performing. And again, during peak COVID this year, there weren't many options, especially New York City. It's hard to get fresh air, and it was definitely hard to find entertainment during COVID. So, if we were able to put something together in a park and provide entertainment, and make people feel better, I'm happy. And we did. This older lady walked by the club today, and I was lying down, on the bench in front of in the club, not outside the club like a homeless person. But I was we have a bench in the window indoors. I was lying down, and a lady knocked on the door, and she just wanted to say hey, I really love your outdoor shows during the summer and fall. It was the only thing that kept me sane. So I appreciate that. I've heard that from many people, that was the only thing they did during COVID was see stand-up comedy. It made them feel really good. Thank you. Thank you for the claps. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it sounds like you have a video to record.
Hey. Hello?
Yeah, we're still here, Danny. I think one thing we've found interesting about this platform is that unlike a comedy club, it's hard to register when people are enjoying something because we can't hear the laughter. But the claps do a pretty good job.
Thank you. Thanks for the claps. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us, and I definitely want to come check out a show. Hopefully I can get into that 33%. I'm still in the city, so planning to come down anytime soon.
Actually, we just put up a plexiglass in front of the stage today. I haven't done that before. Thank you.
Well, I guess that means I can't throw a tomato at the comic if I don't like the comedy.
You could, but the plexi will stop them. Will stop you.
I'll still come anyway.
You're always invited.
Thanks, Donnie.
All right, thanks. It was fun.
And then I think, Kay, you are the last rebuttal tonight. If you want to snag the seat here on the stage.
Am I getting off the stage?
I mean, I guess you could sit in that little chair in the back that you started in if you wanted.
I'm gonna go back to my seat.
All right, thanks, Donnie. Kay, if you click the stage or tap the stage, then we should be able to let you up here.
And welcome to XX Chris XX, who seems to have joined midway through Donnie's rebuttal.
Thanks, Chris, for the compliment. I appreciate it.
That's XX Chris XXX 360 no scope XXX, according to the comments.
Pretty cool name. Kay,
Well, the blue
can you
guy
hear
sitting
us
at the
down there?
table is, yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, no, I think yours is more important.
Oh, Kay, if you can hear us down there, if you could tap on the stage, I know you're on a phone, then we can let you up here to do your part. Maybe I'll throw that in the chat.
She's clicking sad. I wonder if she's clicking it and we aren't seeing it, or... She says she's clicking on a chair on the stage.
Interesting.
What about maybe one of the weird ones in the back, and then if you're able to navigate over from there? Or... Another thing, possibly if you were to leave the room and then rejoin, that could work as well, hopefully. Well, I guess in the interim oh, there we go.
Okay, here I am.
Sorry about that, Kay.
Oh no, that's okay. I wonder what I was doing wrong.
I think that might have been a tech error on our part. I don't think that was you.
Really? Because it's usually me. It's usually operator error, and it's usually me.
No, we'll take the blame for this one.
Okay, well that's most kind of you. I appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us. I know you've been here most of the night, so we appreciate that. And I think you kind of know that we play the audio clip first, and then we'll do the rebuttal after.
Yes. Yes.
Great.
So your idea.
A person who has built a solid foundation in the basics of Latin in elementary school will never think that a new word is too complicated to handle. They'll be able to read difficult text in English, the classics, and absorb the author's meaning.
Is it cool to have to learn a language that nobody speaks in order to understand the languages that everybody does speak?
Not necessarily, but I think it's something that sets you up to succeed in learning later, as opposed to signing up for a Duolingo subscription and then giving up after 2 weeks.
Okay. Kay, I think you had a great idea that kids should get to learn Latin more often than they do. I think Brian and I were skeptical, but we didn't learn Latin, so maybe we're just not very good at language.
Well, I think that's what I thought about myself, too, when I started Latin in 9th grade. I mean, Americans, I would say most Americans are monolingual, and we start foreign language instruction. I mean, when I was in school, it was not till 9th grade that I got a chance to have any foreign language instruction. And that's too long to leave it. By that time you think, oh, I don't do languages. I can't do this. It's too hard. It's not a thing that I do. But that's just because we start so late. If we started earlier, when there isn't any fear, we'd get somewhere. Little kids they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're not afraid to test things out and get it wrong. But you're paralyzed with fear by the time you're in high school or college or, as an adult. We're so embarrassed to even try a foreign language because we're going to sound so weird. It never occurs to us to think, oh, maybe they think it's charming, because we find, we English speakers find foreign accents charming usually. So why don't we give ourselves that kind of permission? We don't because we start so late.
Looks like a lot of positive emojis in the chat. I guess I was curious why then, because we were talking about languages, what led you to, or why did you gravitate toward Latin, which is not something that you can speak to anybody, to my knowledge?
Yeah. Well, it's the official language of the Vatican, and I understand, although I've never been, that the default language on the ATMs in the Vatican is Latin. And the reason I got shunted into Latin was because of my 8th grade English teacher, God rest her soul. She told me I would be taking Latin, and I thought of myself by that time as a person who would have loved to have learned a foreign language, but it was, I wasn't that kind of person that could do it. And so I went in very afraid, and I worked myself, to death, and I made it through very well. I had A's at the beginning, but then it kind of fell apart for me when I really object to the way Latin is taught, or the way Latin was taught. It was dead on the page, and it was really hard to, the study of Latin, the way it was taught before and really is mostly taught now, it does not lead inevitably to the ability to read Latin and to experience Latin the way a Roman would have. You still get a lot out of it. You develop a lot of linguistic awareness, but to experience Latin as Latin is something that is beyond almost everybody who studies it. And I'm working on that myself right now. I'm doing some oral Latin with some student. I have just 2 students right now, and we're doing oral Latin, and I kind of drag them into it a little bit, but they're enjoying it, and I'm getting better. Did you know that there are places you can go to speak Latin, like Latin boot camps? And you have to sign a pledge saying you will speak only Latin, and it is really hard. It's really, really hard. But we make it happen. And the nice thing about it is, unlike your Latin composition that comes back to you covered in red ink, if somebody understood you at all, you just go on to the next thing, and all those disappear. Those errors just, they go poof into the ether, and nobody ever mentions them again.
Yeah, Kay, that's what I was going to ask you. You bring up a really good point. Is the best way to, I think the best way to learn a lot of languages, right, is to immerse yourself in them, is to speak with other people. Right. So it's good to hear that. I just had no idea that there were places that people were speaking Latin to each other. But that is really kind of the best way to learn it. So it's good to hear that those things exist.
Yeah. Now, the one that I went to, you weren't allowed to come unless you had already been through all the grammar. Because they said it's not, it was for 1 week. That's all, and I suppose that that maybe there are some boot camps out that would take you in, as a complete neophyte. But the one I was in, which was at the University of Kentucky in Lexington, if you can believe it, they needed you to learn to have it. But we still couldn't say anything, even though we'd been through all the Latin grammar. We couldn't talk when we first got there. It was awful, and that at that event, I ended up. It was like one of the best weeks of my life. It was so much fun. It was so challenging, but we could kind of speak by the end of it. The ones of us who were brand new. It was wonderful. I'm actually planning to offer something. My update is that I've joined a coaching program because I've been at this idea of, well, I call it my evil plan to take over the world, to get everybody with some Latin instruction, and I've had this idea since 2005, and I've just not been getting any traction on it. I didn't know a thing about marketing, And I even thought I didn't need to know a thing about marketing because I thought, well, Latin is so special. You know, you don't have to follow any of the rules, but of course it has to follow all the rules. And I've recently joined a group that does organic Facebook marketing. They call it intimacy marketing. And I'm going to offer kind of like a crash course, which will involve being able to, and so the idea is in 90 days I would take a very small group of people from no Latin at all to being able to read and discuss in Latin. It's an elementary book. It's not the Aeneid, but it's something, and it would give a person a sense of mastery and ownership. Is the idea. There's a lot more of this kind of thing out there, and I'm so grateful to you guys for having liked my idea and thought that it was not only worth thinking about, but worth even talking about some more now. And because I have been shot down so many times. I mean, imagine from 2005, and I still don't have an actual movement going. How many times I have been shot down with the idea that Latin is relevant at all these days. So you guys are a real breath of fresh air to me.
Yeah, and we're grateful for you for coming with the idea. I think I told you this the other night, but a lot of our ideas were from to start the show were people who we knew or people, friends and family. And I think you were one of the first people who we didn't know. So that made us feel good that we were starting to get some momentum. So I think we're propelling each other forward. I was going to say something that I didn't realize was much like what you might find at the Vatican. It sounds like Latin has risen.
Well, it never went out of style at the Vatican.
But it sounds like it's, I think there's this perception that it's a dead language, but people are speaking it.
Yeah, it's limited pockets. And I've even heard of at least one family that made Latin the native language for at least one kid, and one of their kids. And they just the kid was exposed only to Latin for a little while. I mean, they didn't stop them from learning English at some point, but Latin was their first language. But the definition they say of a dead language is one that is nobody's native language. It's nobody's mother language. And Latin is kind of in that category, but it lives in all the Romance languages, from Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian, and all the dialects of those languages. They're all a form of modern Latin. Ancient Greek totally died out, but Latin lives. In fact, this boot camp, this conventiculum that I went to. Had people coming from all over the world. One guy was Italian, and I swear to God, he was just speaking Italian. That was not Latin. That was, or he would kind of start off in Latin, but then he'd go into Italian. I thought, that is not fair. That is not right. But the languages are so close, and they even say that if you go to Italy and you know Latin, the waiters will understand you if you order in Latin. So Latin isn't dead the way, define dead. Really, but it's there are modern versions of it, all over Europe, well, all over Southern Europe anyway.
Well, it almost reminds me. You said that you've been at this for over 15 years now, trying to spread the good word about Latin, and that it almost has a marketing problem, right? Is that Latin needs some sort of booster to say or to help people reevaluate. What it is and what it means and how important it is to the way that we all communicate each other. It's like we need to rebrand Latin.
Definitely. And it needs to be cool. Yeah. You know what? It is cool to little kids though. Like older adults say, it's elitist. You're trying to be better than everybody. That's exactly why little kids like it. They want to be better. They have this idea that it's worth striving to be on top. And they also like words because other people don't know the meanings. That's a real hook for little kids. In high school, that's not so much of a hook. But if you can get them when they're little, and just run with that, they really take to it, and they have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, Latin has got a marketing problem, and I have spent lots and lots of money over the last 16 years on marketing training, and I have exactly one time met somebody who was a classics professional. One time. So the people who love classics, they're not marketers. They're not thinking like marketers. They're thinking, because this has so much value, there is no need to market it to anyone. But that's just not true, because people don't realize the value. And how can they? Because the only way they ever see Latin is, on some inscription on some ruins. So it's, they just don't, they have no connection to it, so they don't know. But you're absolutely right. It's a marketing problem.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that, or to me, you spoke to a lot of people think Latin is an elitist language. It is kind of that elitist mindset almost, that our thing that we have is so good that everyone else loves it and they want it, that we don't need to sell it. We don't need to convince anybody else that it's worth taking up or learning. And people are going to have to break out of that mindset if they don't want Latin to go away.
That's right. But sometimes Latin goes away in a school district because they don't have anybody to replace their retiring Latin teacher. I mean, it's something to consider getting a degree in Latin education, because there are schools around that want Latin teachers that can't find them. So it's an idea for a career.
Brian, that might have been a more stable degree than our journalism degrees that we got, because it might have been easier to find a job teaching Latin than a job in marketing, communications, and journalism.
Although it sounds like Latin needs marketing, so maybe there's something there for everybody.
Maybe there's something there for everybody. Yeah, I like that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and this is something that we can tell that you're passionate about, and we want to help spread the word, and we're doing what we can to hopefully make get people hearing more about it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Kay. If you want to, please throw the info to your, I think the boot camp that you were talking about, or the group that you want to try to form. If you want to throw that in the chat, if anybody is interested here in the room tonight, I think they can follow that link. And we'll also make sure to put that link out when we put out the episode of your rebuttal.
Okay. I just, actually, I'll just put my Facebook name, and they can, if anybody wants to make a friend request, because I don't have a website to go to for that thing. So I think I can figure out how to do the chat. It's just B.K. Neal. That is me. That's me on Facebook.
Right.
Oh, cui bono. Chris has a question. Cui bono. For everybody's good. Omnibus. Yeah. Pro omnibus. Pro omnibus is my answer. For everybody.
I think Chris liked that. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Kate. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, Brian. I think that's it for our rebuttals tonight. We had a nice crew. Thanks to everyone who was able to join us. Thanks to everyone who came on stage and talked about their ideas and gave us some updates and told us that we were wrong. Told us that we were cool, which always is nicer to hear. But for those of you who aren't aware, I'm waiting for the slide to change, but we also do a show in here every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern called This Week in Cool, where we recap the past week and everything that was cool, wasn't cool, and nothing in between. So if you like the platform, if you like what we're doing, we'd love for you to join on Thursday nights and check out This Week in Cool.
Yes, it's a fun show, and we have it set up to be interactive. So when we talk about something and someone has thoughts, they can hop up on the stage and share those thoughts. So if there's anything that you saw this past week that you thought was cool, you can reach out to us with that in advance, and we'll try to include it in the show. Otherwise, just show up and come with your hot takes or your cool takes. Cool takes preferred. Yep. All right. Thanks, everyone. We're going to stick around. We'll hop to some tables and say hi. If you're more than welcome to hang out in the room. So thanks to everyone who came.